So in this video right here, we're gonna be talking about the grandma, Shannon, Latrice, the fiance, Najeen, and Angel. So first and foremost, we're gonna go ahead and talk about this grandma. When it comes down to the grandma, I'm not saying that she necessarily had a role in the cause and disappearance of Naziah Harris, but what I will say is her actions very much so put the other kids' life at jeopardy. So if we go back to the preliminary hearing, right? The grandma herself said that she was the one who took Naziah Harris to school.
9th, you had described your morning routine with the kids. Did you follow that routine on January 9th?
Yes, I did.
And did that include dropping Naziah off at J.E. Clark 7:15 to 7:30?
Yes.
But according to other documents, Naziah Harris took the bus. Not only did she take the bus, but there's video evidence to prove that Naziah Harris took the bus to school that morning on the 9th. What's really going on, right? Again, I don't believe that the grandma herself had anything to do with Naziah Harris' disappearance. I just feel like she's trying to manipulate the situation because, again, she knows that her actions very much so put the other kids at risk, knowing the fact that she had Jarvis Butts in the house and around them other kids, knowing the history and everything else. Because she also said that she wasn't really so much familiar with Jarvis Butts, and that Jarvis Butts was not coming around the house like that, at least whenever she was present. But we all know that's a lie. She should be doing all this other shit because she's trying to maintain her position as being a foster parent to the other kids and trying not to get them took. But whatever the situation may be, we know she lying, though. Now, Shannon. Now, when it comes down to Shannon, a lot of people want to say that Shannon has some type of involvement in it, right? All right, bet, cool. So let's look at this whole situation. Now, we got to look at the whole timeline, right? So we see the timeline. At one point in period of time, can we fit Shannon inside this timeline to say at some point in period of time or at this point in period of time, Shannon has some type of involvement in it? If we're going to keep it a bean, there's no way that we can fit Shannon inside this timeline to say that at some point in period of time she was in physical possession of Naziah Harris, and at this time she caused the disappearance of Naziah Harris. There's no way that I can fit her in there, because whenever Jarvis Butts was making his way to Gippsland to drop off the Jaguar, he made contact with Shannon. Whenever he was at the motel, him and Shannon end up coming in contact through the phone. And at no point in period of time did Shannon's phone ever ring or register somewhere outside of where she was already at, which is the grandmother's house. So that right there by itself tells me that that's enough evidence to say that Shannon never even left the house on the 9th that night. Nevertheless, Shannon didn't even search for the little girl that night. Let's just keep it a bean. So just knowing that by itself, again, how can we fit Shannon inside this timeline? We can't. Now, boom. Now, let's talk about this woman named Angel, right? This woman named Angel, she the one that stays on Wilshire, all right? Now, according to the votes registry descriptions and everything else, right? Jarvis Butts was also living at this very same address with Angel. And also, according to the fiance, she also said that Jarvis Butts was staying at this address. But to her surprise, she didn't know that he was staying with another woman by the name of Angel. Now, whenever Jarvis Butts leaves to go and get Latrice's car, he stops and stays at Angel house for 11 minutes. Now, we know for a fact at this point in period of time that Naziah Harris was with him, because whenever King left the shop, King said it himself that Naziah Harris was at the shop with Jarvis whenever he left. So whenever King last seen Naziah Harris, she was with Jarvis at the shop. And when Jarvis left the shop, the first place that he went to was Wilshire, and he stays there for 11 minutes before contacting Latrice and then going to Latrice's house to go get the blue car. Now, when it comes down to Angel, the fact that you wasn't at the preliminary hearing or the fact that you wasn't even brought in, to me, that's suspicious within itself. I don't give a fuck. You suspicious. Now, Latrice. Now, when it comes down to Latrice, right, I very much so feel like in my heart that Latrice very much so knows a hell of a lot more than what it is that she's saying. All right? Just think about the shit. If I call you on the phone and I tell you, hey, say the 12, they hitting up everybody's houses. As an individual who is not in the loop, who do not understand what is going on at the point of period of time, the first thing you might say is, why is they hitting up people's houses? You might ask me something to try to get some type of understanding or some type of information about what's really going on. But instead, the response that she gave sounded like a motherfucker who knows something.
You said what? Everybody shit. You on everybody house? They come to my shit?
The the response that she gave sounded like an individual who knows something and trying to make sure police ain't on her trail. Whenever Jarvis Butts went to Latrice's house to go retrieve this car, right, I know for a fact that Naziah Harris was with her. Now I'm starting to believe not only was Naziah Harris with Jarvis Butts, but whenever he went to go retrieve the car, Latrice saw Naziah Harris with Jarvis Butts. And that's the reason why she responded the way that she responded. Because now, after the fact, knowing that I saw you with Naziah Harris on the day that she came up missing, and then now you being indicted for the situation. So now you calling me on a jail call, informing me about other houses being hit and searched and everything else. The first thing come to my mind is, damn, they finna hit my house too? Or they finna come in my shit too? Simply because I know for a fact Naziah Harris was in that blue car. Now, as an individual, if I was in your shoes, Latrice, knowing that Naziah Harris was in my car, knowing that I saw Naziah Harris with Jarvis that day, I probably would have had the very same response. Is they finna hit my shit? But nevertheless, that's another thing about this woman that's very much so suspicious, fam. Now, whenever Jarvis Butts told this woman to wipe down that car, she wiped down that car.
Which was played when she was testifying, saying to get anything he touched clean, to clean anything he touched, to get anything, don't drive her car, drive his mom's car, which is important.
Simply because, again, you cannot convince me that this little girl, Glasser, was in the backseat of your car. Then whenever these glasses become retrieved, and then whenever Jarvis tell you to wipe the car down, and then 12 get a hold of your car, and they start swabbing it down for DNA, fingerprints, and everything else, they don't find nothing? No, you wipe that car down. You very much so did. And not only that, after the fact, Jarvis Butts told you don't take your car. And what do? You started to take your mom's car instead. But according to your defense, this is something that you do anyway. Which again makes no fucking sense to me. But let's move on. Now, I'm going to get to Nadine. But Nadine going to be the last one for me though. Because that's going to be the icing on the cake. But let's get to the fiance. Now, one thing that's very much so suspicious about the fiance is this. You stayed in communication with Jarvis Butts throughout the whole day. But again, you're supposed to be the fiance, so I can somewhat understand. But what I don't understand is this. Whenever you call Jarvis Butts in vital moments, going to the 10th, right? We already know that she was constantly calling this man, blowing this man up on the 9th. Or rather, it was him blowing her up, whichever way. But on the 10th, that night, whenever she contacted Jarvis Butts, whenever he was at Nadine's house, it was that one phone call that the fiance gave. And then Jarvis Butts, boom, fly off and go to 7 Mile. That's suspicious. Because if the theory behind this whole thing is that Naziah Harris is gone, then the only point of period of time that I can see that Jarvis Butts did anything to this little girl would have to then been whenever he was on 7 Mile. It only makes the most sense. It makes the most sense. But then, whenever he leaves 7 Mile, the only two people that he contact is the fiance and Latrice. And he making these contacts after 1 o'clock in the morning. And it was around this time whenever he was leaving 7 Mile. Now we on the 11th. Suspicious as fuck. Going back to them same two females. To me, it's just suspicious. Now, Nadine. Now, when it comes down to Nadine, everything about Nadine is suspicious. It's full. Whatever the case may be. Now, I understand that a lot of people saying that Nadine got a very low IQ. I agree. A lot of people don't even believe that this is Nadine on the phone. I do. Now, something that Nadine said really hit a trigger point. But I'm finna go ahead and chop and dissect this. What part that I feel like Nadine played. And the reason why I feel like she's doing so much goddamn lying. Let's go ahead and get with it. Nadine told 12 herself. You can go back to the preliminary hearing. She told 12 that she could not recall whether or not Jarvis Butts went to her house on the 10th that morning, leaving the motel. And then she tells me that Jarvis Butts never even came to her house. And then whenever I catch her ass in a lie, that's when she go back and she said, well, yeah, he did come to my house, but we only talked about him possibly turning himself in the near future. But when he made it to your apartment, y'all had a conversation and he told you that he gonna have to turn himself in?
Yeah.
So how long did he stay over there before he left? So what the fuck is it? Did he not come to your house, or did he come to your house, or do you not recall? What is it? Me personally, you're lying, and I caught you in a lie. That's lie number one. We know something. We're going to get back to it, though. Another thing, too. You was blowing Jarvis' phone up, okay? Now, according to Jarvis Butts' phone records, it was him the one who's making the outgoing calls. But a lot of the times, it is believed that these outgoing and ingoing calls is really mixed up. So whenever it's saying it's an outgoing call, in actuality, it's really an incoming call. And I'm only saying this because at the times whenever it said that he was reaching out to Shannon, Shannon was the one that said, no, I was reaching out to him. Whenever it was said that he was reaching out to his fiance say, no, I was reaching out to him. So it makes sense that, you know what I'm saying, it might be, you know what I'm saying, vice versa. And then whenever I talked to Najee said it herself, she was blowing his phone up that day.
Come around more than he ever did. I had to beg him spend more time with me.
So nevertheless, you was blowing his phone up that day. But every phone call was answered. Every phone call on your behalf to Jarvis Butts was completed. At the same time, I feel like there have been many times whenever you reached out to this man probably just ignored your phone call. I'm pretty sure there have been many a time where you reached out to this man had an incomplete call with you. He didn't answer. But on this specific day, or every time that you called this man, every call was complete. And not only that, whenever he leaves that motel room, that tent early that morning, he stays at your house for the longest period of time. Think about it. When he went to Angel's house, he was only there for 11 minutes. When he went to Latrice's house, he was only there for no more than 5 minutes, tops, really less. Every place that Jarvis Butts went to that day, he was never there no longer than 10 minutes. Every place that he ever went to, he was never there no longer than 11 minutes, all right? But whenever he go to your house, he stayed up for hours at a time. And then he stays at your house and doesn't leave your house until he go to 7 Mile. Now, let's think about this, guys. If you believe that Naziah Harris is no longer with us, if you believe that Naziah Harris is gone, only way that we can say that Jarvis Butts did something to this little girl was at the point of period of time he took his ass to 7 Mile. Think about it. Because whenever he go to 7 Mile, there's a 47-minute gap in between times. And we don't know what the fuck he did or where he went to. Why? Because that's a 47-minute gap whenever he makes it to 7 Mile. For those who believe that she's no longer with us. If he did anything to this little girl, it had to have been at that moment period of time whenever he went to 7 Mile. Why? Because that's the only time that it makes sense that he would have had time to do something to this little girl and do whatever he did with the body. I hate to sound harsh, but I'm sorry about it. But let's talk facts, though. Let's keep it a biscuit. But if we believe that something transpired on 7 Mile, then we got to go all the way back to where he was before he went to 7 Mile. Najee house. Now, according to the time and period, according to the time on how long it takes for you to go to 7 Mile from Najee house to 7 Mile, right? And we looked and see what time his phone pinged on 7 Mile. And if you add all that up, that tells me that he made no extra stops. So whenever he left Najee house, he went straight to 7 Mile. He didn't make no stops. He didn't go to AutoZone. He didn't go to Walmart. He didn't go to the corner store. He didn't go get no gas, no cigarettes, no none of that. He went straight to 7 Mile. So if he went to 7 Mile and did something to this little girl's body and he was already in possession of Naziah Harris, that means whenever he was at Najee house, he was with Naziah Harris. And that's the reason why I was pushing the button so goddamn hard. And that's the reason why I feel like Najee was doing all that motherfucking lying. Excuse my friends. I feel like she was doing all that goddamn lying simply because she knew that Naziah Harris was in her living room at one point in a period of time. You cannot tell me Naziah Harris wasn't. And I feel like that's the reason why you're doing all that lying. You lied to the detective saying that you can't recall, then your back door tell me that he didn't come, then your back door said that he did came. What the fuck is it? You only want to address what transpired on the 9th. But you don't want to address what transpired on the 10th early that morning. Neither do you want to address what transpired on the 10th that night. But at the same time, I got you to confess and tell me that Jarvis Butts left her house that night on the 10th. Whenever he got a phone call. Which makes sense because whenever he received a phone call at Najee house at the nighttime, after 10 o'clock, it was his fiance calling him. And then that's when he leaves and he now headed to 7 Mile.
Oh, he said he had to go and somebody had called him. That's all I remember. Somebody called him and said he had to go.
So it made sense. So I really believe that that's really Najee, though. But at the same time, I also believe that she's lying. Simply because she knows that she was in the presence of Naziah Harris at some point in a period of time. And to further herself away from this case is just by simply saying, hey, I never seen her. I don't know her. She was never over here. Lying. She was over there. Go ahead and go up in the lower section. Drop a comment. Let me know how you feel about this whole situation.